Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Welcome to those of you who have joined this honors session. And we maybe have people coming in and out through the next 20 minutes or so that we have together, but we appreciate that you've joined us here today. My name is Dr. Mara Scanlon. I'm the Associate Director of the Honors Program, and I am Professor of English also. I've been at Mary Wash for about 20 years, and I just joined the Honors Program 2 or 3 years ago, where our director, Dr. Kelly Slunt, is a chemistry professor. So we cover the two sides of the brain as necessary. And I want to tell you what we have playing in the background here while we chat today. It's a slideshow that is on loop or supposed to be on loop. We'll see if it keeps going. That just shows some images of honor students and some of the things that they do, the places you see now, for instance, where people do a lot of service learning, a highlight of some graduates, just a handful from the last few years, and some other information about the program itself. And I don't want this to be a conversation. A presentation. I would rather have it be a conversation and answer your questions. So I'm really happy to answer questions about anything you see on the slideshow if you want to pose it. And otherwise, I'll just let you take it in as it continues to cycle. I am joined today by two current honors students, one finishing out her time at Mary Wash, and one who is a first year, Rebecca Young and Kayla Kippis. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, tell you about their majors and so on, and then we'll see what we can fill you in about the honors program. So Kayla, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am a first-year student in the honors program, but I'm an academic sophomore, and I am a econ and math major.
I'll just note when Kayla says that she's an academic sophomore, many honor students come to us with a lot of credits in place from AP exams, IB programs, dual enrollment programs. So sometimes they have enough credits to be a sophomore or junior. Some of our honor students graduate early. Sometimes people use the credits they have in the bank like that to double major, as Kayla said, or take on some extra minors, or just to explore classes because many of their requirements have been taken care of. I know that some of those opportunities are probably smaller for those of you who will be joining us next year, because COVID has stopped the opportunity for some of the AP testing and some of the other programs that would have been available to folks. That's nothing to worry about either. There's plenty of time to finish all you need to do in the 4 years that you're here. So let Rebecca introduce herself too.
Hi, everyone. Like Dr. Scanlon just said, my name is Rebecca Young. My personal pronouns are she, her. And I am a senior finishing my last semester as an undergraduate at Mary Washington. I am getting a major in English. I also have a minor in linguistics, and I'm in our elementary education program. I am one of the last members of the 5-year education program, which means I'm finishing out my undergraduate here. And then I'm going to come back next year for 1 more year to get my graduate master's degree in education from the UMW College of Education as well. For those of you that might be coming in next year, the College of Education now has a 4-year bachelor's program as well, which is also fantastic. So if you have any questions about education, I can answer those as well. And like Dr. Scanlon just said, I used a bunch of my extra credits to take on that extra minor and the education program while I was here as well. In my time at Mary Washington, I've done a lot of stuff with the honors program. I've worked with our incoming freshmen through the City as Text program, which is going to be a really exciting opportunity for incoming students. So that's maybe something you can look forward to next year, and I'd be happy to answer questions about that. I've also completed my senior capstone project, which was an independent study project that I did within my English major, but as part of the honors program requirements as well, I did an independent research project on representation of disability in children's literature and elementary education. So that kind of was a fun opportunity to combine all of my majors and interests there. I've also studied abroad and I have a job on campus. So if you have any questions about any of those things, I'd be happy to help answer those as well.
That's great. You guys, I want to make one comment about academics. I said this at the beginning, but if you've joined us since then, we welcome questions at any time. You can unmute yourself if you want to just ask, or you can drop something in the chat. Kayla and Rebecca are keeping their eyes on the chat for me to see if anybody posts questions. When Rebecca was talking about her capstone, it prompted me to tell you something about the honors program at Mary Wash. And I should say, some of you may already be accepted to the honors program and be looking forward to next year and have specific questions about that. Some of you might have questions about applying to the honors program after you come to Mary Wash, and we're happy to answer those too. One thing that differentiates our program from many honors programs around the state and some other places is that it is what we call in academic speak across the curriculum. And that means that you don't have any honors, say, seminars, like an honor seminar your sophomore and junior year that you have to take that's kind of an extra class. Rather, there are honors designated sections of classes from your first year seminar through, they're particularly clustered in the 100 and 200 level classes, the more intro level classes, but many majors have them or are getting them into place in their upper level classes too. We've been putting on a little pressure about that recently to departments. And so students tend to take honor sections while they're fulfilling other requirements in their major or their general education requirements, or just something they're kind of interested in that's an honors designated class. Those classes do not have more work than a regular class. That's something that we've been really dedicated to enforcing with the faculty. There are programs in the state of Virginia, for instance, where an honors class is a regular class plus a 15-page paper. And we have instead embraced the idea of differentiated work, meeting students where they are in terms of their learning, but also more student-driven work. So an honors class may have fewer or no quizzes on recall of material, but rather have something like student research or a collaborative oral report, or students getting to have input on something that the class decides to study together. They may engage with the community in different ways or do applied research for the community in some ways. So it tends to be higher level thinking and a higher level of student engagement. Those are qualities of many UMW classes. That's part of what this school is about. But in honors, where the classes are capped at 20 to 25 and the professors are prepared, have prepared the class specifically with some of those learning outcomes in mind. So you would complete your honors requirements just as you were doing your other requirements. They don't add any extra courses to your attempt to finish in 4 years or whatever the time frame is that you're working in. This coming fall, Rebecca has mentioned, and there's a slide going around about it, that we are initiating a slight change in our signature City as Text program, which we've been doing as a kind of intensive orientation for honor students. This year, it was unfortunately disrupted by COVID, but before that. And this coming year, we anticipate that it will be a combination of a few days before the semester starts. And then it will be an 8-week 1 credit class. You will actually earn 1 credit for it, as you do for some other classes in the Career Center, or some music classes, some phys ed classes, and so on, are 1 credit. So we'll meet about 1 hour a week through the first half of the semester. And it culminates in a banquet with a bunch of faculty and UMW administrators and officials from the city, the mayor, members of the city council, the school board, et cetera, have been invited in the past. So if you are an accepted honor student, you should have gotten a mailing from admissions with a cover letter and a syllabus for that class to give you a sense of the required dates, and so you know what's coming up. I think there was a problem with the mailing, and admissions didn't send the syllabus initially, so that we got some emails from people saying we didn't get this, and contacted admissions, and I believe they have now remailed that electronically. But if you didn't get it, there is a contact slide going here with the honors program email at the bottom, and you can feel free to contact us, and we'll send it to you individually. Are there any questions before we before I turn to my co-presenters? No questions yet. Okay, so I wonder if Kayla or Rebecca wants to talk about, let's spend another minute on academics. Do you want to say anything about an honors class you've taken or your experience in an honors academic cohort? Either of you?
Yeah, sure. So I've taken a lot of honors classes in my 4 years here, far more than are required, simply because they are integrated into the curriculum of my major and minor, and the education program a little bit as well. So first of all, it's very easy to collect all of the honors classes that you need to graduate with honors. And I've really enjoyed all of the honors classes that I've taken, because as Dr. Scanlon sort of started to explain, they are very engaging and very student driven in a lot of the like integral aspects of the classes. So there are tons of opportunities for students to pursue our own research interests, to share our ideas with the class, the professor, and the community outside of the class as well. So I've been able to go out and do service projects with the SPCA in Fredericksburg. I've done, like I said, independent research on a lot of projects and classes, and it's been a very fun learning experience. It is far more engaging than a lecture class where you're just reading a textbook, listening to presentations, taking tests, and that's the end of the class. And so I think for me personally, the honors classes that I've taken have been full of more enriching learning opportunities that have really impacted me beyond the class itself, which is one of the highlights of the program in my experience. Kayla, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, just kind of adding on top of that, it really is like more not so much lecture, and I think that's really beneficial for me as a student. I think for many other students, for example, I'm in a computer science class right now, and it's a requirement for my major, and it's an honors part of it, and there's no lecture whatsoever. We are doing our own experimenting, and we're just trying to figure out stuff as we go, asking questions if we have questions, interacting with the other students. So I think definitely the honors courses provide a lot of experimentation and kind of like self-learning, which I think is really important and really beneficial.
Yeah. And that's great. I would echo it from the other side also. It's what I enjoy. Well, it's what I enjoy about teaching my classes at Mary Washington altogether, but certainly in honors sections, it's fun to know that no matter how high I raise the bar, people are going to be trying to meet it or successfully surpassing it, or something in between. The capstone that Rebecca mentioned is the culmination of your experience in honors, and it usually overlaps with credits in one of your majors or minors. And you earn 3 credits for the semester that can be an elective in one of your majors or minors. Sometimes it's interdisciplinary. And the description Rebecca gave, which I believe earned credits in English, right, Rebecca? But it was in many ways an interdisciplinary class, in that it it combined the study of literature with information about early childhood education and appropriate reading materials for early childhood and so on. Some students do very interdisciplinary things with their majors and minors. There is a student currently thinking who's an English major and biology major who is thinking about doing a study of literature using chaos theory that she encountered in one of her classes. So trying to really pull together those two things. We see a lot of also applied things, students who do studies that they then release to their say the city council of where they come from. We had an environmental studies student who did that last year, but try to solve problems through their capstone projects also. If there are still no questions coming in, I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the things that aren't classes that honors is about. One of the things you see flashing here that says something like perks of being honor students shows some of the, one of the things I have to say that students love is the priority registration. That's pretty typical for all honors programs. It means you get to register. If you're an honor student, you get to register pretty much before anybody else, which means it removes a lot of anxiety from registration because you always get the classes that you want, and it enables students to get access even at the start to classes that might otherwise be where all the seats might be taken up by older students. There's also some pictures on that slide of our honors commons, which unfortunately we had just moved into for the year before the pandemic shutdown. So parts of it, as you can see in the corner right now, actually are still a little bit bare. We're filling them in. We thought we were going to be painting and other things that haven't happened, but it's a great place to study, to hang out. It has computers with free printing for honor students. It has some chairs to sit in. It has a huge screen on the wall where people could do things like practice, the visual aids for a public speaking thing. I think more often there are late night movies going on in there, probably. It has a study and collaboration table. It has a small kitchenette that we keep stocked with coffee and tea and cocoa and popsicles and that kind of thing in the fridge. So we're really hopeful. Right now it's just being used for individual access for students to study or print. We're really hopeful it will be back up and running next year. Dr. Slunt and I have offices in there where we spend about half of our time when we're not teaching in our departments, so that students can drop in for advising or chatting, mentoring, whatever it is that they have questions about. And we also run a lot of programming with that you saw on one of the slides, wellness programs, professionalization programs, something we called growth opportunities like Accessibility 101 run by the Office of Disability Resources to help people think about access and accessibility and plan for it, whether they are persons with disabilities or not. That's something that's not only really important to being a good citizen and a good person, but it's actually also a resume item that you put on that you've had that training, because that's impressive to workplaces and so on when you do those kinds of growth opportunities on your own. So I think that because Kayla has been part of the program during the pandemic, she's had fewer opportunities for some of the fun things that happen. You're also seeing pictures of having community dinners at Dr. Slunt's house and some other things. Kayla, I don't know if you've been able to do any of the social things we've run this year or not. And if not, Rebecca could also address some of why honors is also a community.
I haven't been able to do much, but I definitely have been able to get in some of the community service with just I'm also in CORE, which is our community outreach. So honors, the co-curricular events, we sometimes pair with other organizations, but definitely community service downtown in Fredericksburg, whether it's cleaning up a park or making campus pretty and more nature. I've gotten to experience those things, so I think that's all I know, and I hope moving forward I can get to know some more. But that's definitely a really important part of the honors program that I've liked so far.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Rebecca,
Yeah.
did you want to add anything?
Sure, of course. Yeah, I'm really excited for the incoming students who will be able to experience these opportunities in the coming years as everything opens back up again and we can do big social gatherings and host events and things like that. I know I've loved all of the opportunities to get to know you and Dr. Slunt and my fellow honors students, both through like honors programs like City as Text. I've still got friends that I keep in contact with that were students I mentored, that were people I mentored with in those programs. I've made friends with people just sitting in the honors commons together and, hey, do you have some tape? Sure, here you go. And then you strike up a conversation, and the next time you see them in the honors commons, you know a little bit more about them, and then you can see them on campus, and now you've got a new friend just like that. It's also been, like Kayla mentioned, a wonderful opportunity to engage with the community and outside of the little bubble of the honors program. I think one of the things that I like about our honors program is that it's not exclusive. It gives you opportunities to engage with fellow honor scholars, but it's not like an elite little bubble that you can't break out of. We live with the other non-honor students on campus. We take classes with the other non-honor students, and we get to engage with them in other events that we host, like our community meditation every week. There are non-honor scholars that are invited to that all the time, and it's a wonderful place to, you know, just foster community both within the program and outside of it as well. So yeah, absolutely, it's been wonderful.
The openness of the program is another signature part of it. And though there are some things that because of funding and so on are exclusive to honor students, like the free printing, for example, or else we would have no budget to do anything else. But our honors classes are open to students in and out of the program as long as there are seats. And there are students who take many, many honors classes who aren't in the honors program because they like the style of teaching and learning that Rebecca and Kayla have spoken about. You all, it is 12:26, and I'm mindful that I've been asked to stop a little early for you to go to your next session that starts at 12:30. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to hang with us and ask them before you go to your next session, or to use the honors program at umw.edu email, which will go to me and Dr. Slunt and our program manager, Amanda Ronay, and we will personally answer it in a relatively short amount of time. It's not going into a black hole, so you should feel free to use that too if you have follow-up questions. I look forward to getting to know you guys, hopefully in a very different and open landscape next year, and enjoy the rest of your admissions programming today. Thanks.
I have to head out because I have class, but thank you for letting me come in and help you.
Kayla, you were awesome. Thank you very much. I hope you're able to do more. You were a great
Thank you.
representative. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Rebecca, are you able to stay for the next one too? Okay, cool.
Yep, I don't have any classes on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. So
Oh,
it's my
so you
work
have
day.
hideous Tuesdays and Thursdays. I remember you saying that actually. Long
Yeah,
days.
and Wednesday's a crunch day too, but
Yeah.
I've got time.
Okay. If you're just joining us for the session on honors, welcome. And we're going to wait a few more minutes to see if others come in on the Zoom before we start anything. Thank you.
Dr. Scanlon, I think your slideshow stopped looping itself again.
Thank you. Let's see if it start again on its own, and otherwise I'll restart it. Did it progress, Rebecca? Thank you.
Yeah, it just did.
You guys, I'm going to go ahead and start since we have such a short session, and we'll see if any other folks come in and join us here. My name is Dr. Mara Scanlon. There's a slide with my name that's just appeared. I'm the Associate Director of the Honors Program, and I am Professor of English. And I've been at Mary Washington for about 20 years, but I just joined the Honors Program, excuse me, 2 or 3 years ago, and joined Dr. Slunt, the director, who is Professor of Chemistry, as the faculty who administer the honors program, and I teach courses in it also. I'm joined here today by Rebecca Young, who is a senior honors student. I'm going to let Rebecca introduce herself in a minute. And you'll see that as we're talking, there's a slideshow running on a loop in the background that highlights some different things about, excuse me, about the honors program at Mary Wash. And we'll try to supplement that slideshow with what we say today. But we're really happy, both of us, to answer any questions you have, either about things you see on the slide that you'd like to know more about, or anything else about the program and how it works, or Mary Wash in general. We're really happy you've joined admissions for this event today. And some of you may already be admitted honors students for next fall. And some might be wondering about applying to honors after you come to Mary Washington and what we call Track B. And we're happy to answer questions about either of those things. Before I go further, let me let Rebecca introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. As Dr. Scanlon just said, my name is Rebecca Young. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a senior finishing up my last semester here at Mary Washington in my undergraduate year at least. I am getting my undergrad degree with a major in English, and I'm also getting a minor in linguistics. And I'm also one of the last members of our 5-year education master's programs. So I've been taking education classes through my undergraduate career here, and then I will be returning next year as a graduate student to get my master's degree in elementary education as well. So if you have any questions about that, I can answer them. For anyone interested in education, there's no longer the 5-year program, but we do have a 4-year bachelor's program, for anyone interested in that as well. While I've been at Mary Washington, I have studied abroad. I have got a on-campus job at a writing center. With the honors program, I've completed all of the requirements for classes, including my senior capstone research project. I've also been a peer mentor through our City as Text orientation program, which we'll probably hear about a little bit more today. And I'm also on our Honor Student Advisory Council, our board for student advisory, the honors program. So I'd be happy to answer any questions at all about any of those things. And like Dr. Scanlon said, we're so excited that you're here today.
You're indeed. Rebecca, I don't know how you have time to sleep when I hear you detail all of the things that you do. Guys, I forgot to say at the beginning that you're very welcome to drop questions in the chat box, which Rebecca is monitoring for me. And if you don't have, if you'd rather ask your question, please feel free to just unmute and say, may I ask something? And that's great. We're really happy to have this be a conversation as much as you guys want. I'm going to start out by saying some things about the academics for the honors program, since that's obviously one of its bases. And then before we're done today, I hope Rebecca and I could talk a little bit also about the other things that honors offers besides its academics. One of the things that's quite unique about Mary Washington's honors program in the Commonwealth and around some other schools, it's not the only one that does this, but it's definitely a signature of ours that we do not require extra honors, say seminars or classes that you take in different years. Rather, our program is what in academic speak is called across the curriculum. And that means that just like a writing intensive class is an across the curriculum class, it means a class in any subject area, which is also called a discipline in college. You'll hear that a lot. In any discipline could be honors designated. So you might have an honors designated anthropology class or music or computer science, biology, English, whatever it is that you're pursuing. And so most students complete their honors designated classes along with their other requirements for general education or for their majors and minors, and they pick up those classes along the way. And some students, including, I heard Rebecca say this in the prior session, well exceed the number of honors requirements for classes they need to take because they prefer the honors style courses. And that kind of across the curriculum will be true from your entry when you can opt to take an honors freshman seminar class and complete one of your requirements in the FSEM through your senior capstone project, which is the culmination of your work. As an honor student, it's a kind of a chance to really immerse yourself in something you're very interested in. And I'll let Rebecca talk a little bit about her project in a minute and give you a sense of what those might look like. Honors classes are not exclusive to honor students. Anybody who wants to have that kind of a course is welcome to join it as long as there are seats. And what differentiates it from a non-honors class is a more intentional commitment to a student-centered experience. The honors classes are capped at 20 to 25 students. They will be more focused on higher intellectual skills rather than, say, I mean, Mary Wash is not, we are a school with a lot of interactive classes anyway. You aren't going to have a lot of classes where you listen to a lecture, take notes, and spit it out on a test. But an honors class will not be that way, right? It would be a class where instead of, say, doing quizzes for recall, you might do a collaborative research project or presentation. You might engage with students in the community in one of our honor Spanish classes, for instance. Instead of doing a series of other academic work, many of those students volunteer with second language students in the local public schools. So the honors part of the class is never meant to be more work added to the class, rather different and more differentiated, and hopefully more interesting work for the students who are in it. So you can do honors classes while you're fulfilling your other things, and you may take as many of them as you wish. Let me let Rebecca get in on that before I go any further.
Yeah, like Dr. Scanlon mentioned, I've taken well more than the required amount of honors designated classes just because they come up when you're filling out your requirements. So when I was starting the education program, I needed to take a linguistics class. That linguistics class was offered as honors. Boom, 2 requirements in 1. And honestly, those classes have been some of my very favorites because, like Dr. Scanlon started to elaborate on, they're very engaging, very student driven, and you get opportunities to really have an enriching learning experience in the classroom. So there's a lot of student driven research where we get to look at what we want to learn about, and then we get to learn about it and share that with other people. We get to do service learning projects where we work with organizations in the community. We get to engage with other parts of campus as well sometimes, and depending on what kind of class you're doing with that. And so, yeah, they've been very enriching learning experiences all the way from my freshman seminar up to the capstone. Like Dr. Scanlon mentioned earlier, I finished my capstone while doing a requirement for my English major. It was an independent research project where it was just me designing a class for myself with a faculty advisor there to help me through it and to make sure I'm getting through the project as I hope to. I did research on representation of disability in children's literature and elementary education. So that really combined both my major and being in the elementary education program here. And it was a fantastic opportunity to do really in-depth research into a topic that I cared a lot about, and to come out knowing more about the subject and being able to produce a resource for teachers, actually. So I didn't just read a bunch of articles and then write a paper about it. I wrote a bunch of little journal entries, and then I did a paper on top of that. And then I created a website that had a bunch of resources for educators that they could use to learn about this issue. And so it's a very engaging, active learning process. And I think that's really something at the core of all honors classes, which is something that I've really, really enjoyed getting to participate in, for sure.
Thanks, Rebecca. That's great. Rebecca's capstone was really fascinating, and I loved the fact that its product was in part that outward-facing resource and website. I got to see a presentation on it last year and hear a little bit from Rebecca while she was working on it. All the capstone projects, which are generally completed in your last year, are student-driven research. In a very few majors where they do research in groups, sometimes students will use that as a capstone in a student group, but more often it's an individual study in your major or a minor, or you can choose to do an interdisciplinary study of some kind. When Rebecca was talking about disability in children's literature, it reminded me of an interdisciplinary study we had a few years ago, where a student who had taken a lot of classes in English and in psychology decided to do a comparative study of the way those two fields dealt with the field of disability and disability studies. And though she was a psych major and intending to pursue a career through that major, she felt that she had a richer understanding of disability actually in her literature classes. And so she was trying to bring those two things together. She had advisors in both departments. Other students use capstones to address problems in their community that they want to study, environmental science majors or others who come up with things. And sometimes they're more traditional research, reading books, articles, doing analysis, writing a longer paper about it, or a series of shorter papers, or some other form of presentation. So they're really very much governed by the student's interest. And it's a rare protected opportunity to get to do that kind of rich research at the end of your career as a student. And it's a great thing to carry forward while you're looking for jobs or applying to graduate schools. You guys, if you're coming in next fall, will be the first class for whom the honors FSM is an option. It used to be a requirement for incoming students. And if you look at some of the course requirement pages on our website, which you can search in the bar on the UMW webpage, you'll see that it's still listed as a requirement because those still reflect our current body and haven't been, they'll be updated this summer for those of you entering next year. I encourage you to consider an honors FSM if you to fulfill one of your honors requirements anyway, or just if you're interested in the honors program, even if you haven't been admitted to it, to experience some of what those classes are like. But you may take a wide variety. In the fall, we are transitioning our signature orientation program called City as Text. Rebecca mentioned that she had been a student leader for that program in the past. And that class, that program will now become a 1-credit class for the first 8 weeks of your first semester. And it will also still have an orientation or pre-arrival portion of it before the general freshman first year population begins their pre-arrival programming through student life. And there, I think my slideshow may have frozen again. I'll see if I can get it to keep going. But there's a slide on the loop about Honor City as Text. It will be taught by me and Dr. Salant, but with the help of a number of professors and staff members from across campus. And I think will be a really unique opportunity to know the city better and some faculty better. It culminates in and the Fredericksburg area, it culminates in a banquet with some faculty, our top administrators from the university, and city officials, including often the mayor, members of city council, the school board, city planner, and so on. That will take place just before fall break next fall, presuming we're all back on a normal schedule. So I just wanted to add that if you're an admitted honor student, you should have gotten a mailing from admissions about City as Text with a cover letter and the syllabus to it, in order to help you save the dates, basically, that you'll need to have in August. The course in the fall is scheduled on a Monday evening at a time that the athletics department, for instance, tells us will not conflict with anything. We're hoping for most people it will be an easy time to meet for those 8 weeks. My understanding is that admissions accidentally initially sent that mailing without the syllabus. And I think they have now sent a second mailing, but if for some reason you haven't gotten it, please feel free to contact admissions or to use the honors program at umw.edu address that's going on a slide. That comes to me and Dr. Slunt and our program manager, Amanda Renee, and we will answer it and send you what you need. Rebecca, I wonder if you could say something about the honors community beyond the classroom, the kinds of things we do or hope to be doing again by next fall, and your experience with that.
Yeah, so in a normal year, the honors program will lots of events, some that are really small, like a night where you can play games with other honor scholars. Sometimes we will have a bigger event, like a field trip to a dinner theater or something like that. That's more a larger, bigger event for honor scholars to participate in. And we also have lots of small opportunities to engage with both your fellow honor scholars and the community outside of that. Like I think I mentioned earlier, I'm on the Honors Student Advisory Council, which helps plan a lot of those events. And we like to partner with other on-campus organizations for community outreach and community service events, opportunities like that, where you can work with your fellow honor scholars, you can work with non-honor scholars at UMW, you can work with members of the community, you can work with other faculty members to put these events on, to engage with them. And really, it's a great opportunity to meet people and to learn about things that you otherwise maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to engage in. I know for me, coming in to the honors program as a freshman, I made a lot of my friends initially through the honors program. We have an honors commons, which is a study place, a hangout place, a resource area where you can do work. You can normally in, non-pandemic times, you can play games and puzzles and have snacks and coffee with fellow honor scholars while you hang out between classes or at the end of the day before you head back to your dorm or something like that. It's a good place to meet commuter students who are working on campus that you might not get to hang out with otherwise. And I know I've made lots of friends through the programs that we've done as well. I still keep in contact with people that I've met through the city's text program, my fellow student leaders, people that I mentored in those programs. And going off of the academics that Dr. Scanlon mentioned earlier, we offer honors classes to the whole student body. If there are seats, non-honor scholars can take classes with the honor students. So one of the things that I really love about UMW's honors program is how it's not just an enclosed elite bubble of the honor students on campus. We really get to engage with other people and hear lots of perspectives and spend time with other people, which is, I think, one of the integral parts of the program, which I've really, really enjoyed throughout my 4 years here.
If you are intending to live on campus, I'll note that our honor scholars have opted each time we've polled them not to live in exclusive honors housing, but rather to be fully integrated into the other dorms and campus living. And that is also something a little bit different than some of the other honors programs on campus, because they felt there was enough chance to meet other honor scholars and have a community with them in other ways. The ongoing programming slide that you see shows some of those ways that there's a picture on there of a dinner at Dr. Slunt's house. She was making home cooked meals and pulling names from a lottery. We would eat with about 8 students a couple times a semester before the pandemic stopped that. And we have honors community meditation once a week that's attended by honor students or friends that they want to bring along. Sometimes other faculty or staff members will join us. We did that in a meditation space on campus. Now, tragically, we're doing it on Zoom, but we're doing what we can. And we do growth and professionalization programming, such as Accessibility 101 offered by the Office of Disability Resources. That's something that is crucial not only for being a good citizen and an ethical person to think about full inclusion in all ways, but it's also, frankly, a nice resume item for students who are applying for jobs, because your employer will like to see that you've had that kind of training ahead of time, and other training about career searching, internships, and so on, for which we've partnered with other folks on campus. This semester, the student programs have just completed a series of Valentines that they bought Valentines and bubbles and some other things and let honor students sign up to send them around campus. And I believe they're close to launching a take and make project of rock painting to leave kind of positive messages on the rocks around campus this semester. So a combination of something fun to do and potentially a pick-me-up for others on campus as we get through what we all hope is our last semester with so many restrictions. The Honors Commons that Rebecca mentioned also has offices for me and Dr. Slunt, where we spend about half our time when we're not in chemistry and English, so that students can find us. And Rebecca mentioned the Keurig with coffee and tea and hot cocoa stock. We try to keep popsicles in the fridge, and there's a little eating place. There's free printing for honor students, quiet study, as well as collaborative or relaxing places. There's a large screen on the wall that sometimes hosts, I think probably more often than not, is used for movies rather than academic collaboration, but that's all good. That's what it's for. There's a small lending library that is being built out. So we had just moved to the Commons before the pandemic. We were just a few months in on it and had started some of we put in a chalk wall and some other things, but a lot of it is unfortunately been limited this year. So we'll get back to it this fall. You guys, it's about 12:54. I want to be sure that nobody is hesitating to ask questions if you have any. Okay. Rebecca, is there anything you want to add before we finish today?
I will add that when I was first applying to UMW, I was hesitant about joining the honors program. I really didn't want to deal with extra requirements. I wasn't sure it was necessary, but for anyone else who's kind of on the fence about it, it's been one of the most enriching parts of my experience at UMW. And I highly encourage you to apply to the program either as you're applying to UMW or as a Track B student next year if you wait until you're already on campus to apply. Because yeah, it's been one of the best experiences, both academically enriching and socially enriching, like we mentioned. And it's been a great opportunity for me to get my foot in the door for leadership opportunities and service opportunities and research opportunities and all of those wonderful things. So yeah.
I think that's a great comment. And one of the things you see under our programming list, handshake training. Handshake is it's kind of like a college LinkedIn, and we had training for the scholars about how to set up profiles in there. And you are coded as an honor scholar in Handshake so that an employer, an internship, somebody offering an internship can see that or can even search for honors scholars. So it does open some other opportunities too. But I want to just reiterate that I think though we want the honors classes to be really intellectually stimulating, as a community, we are dedicated also to being a really supportive group of intellectually curious and interesting and diverse people. And we try to do our programming and field trips and so on with that in mind. And it's just the Honors Commons is another home base on campus for students to know that they can relax and be themselves and get support if they need it. Dr. Slunt and I act as secondary academic advisors to all of the honor students. So we know them often through all 4 years and can help at any point with academic things in addition to their regular academic advisors. Chris Goode, who appears on the page that's just about to change that says be more, just mention him because he's, like Rebecca, a senior honor scholar in his last semester. He's actually studying from home this semester in Texas and completing his capstone in biology. And he's an interesting example of the kind of folks we often meet in honors. Great person, really, really sweet, but also he has decided to go into osteopathic medicine because it fits his sort of holistic approach to wellness. And he has been accepted to a program about 4 hours from his home in Texas. And part of what attracted him to it is that he's allowed to do his rotations either with veterans, and he has military in his family, or on a Native American reservation in that community. And that is actually where he thinks he's going to do his rotation with that community. So combining the elements of service with his training in medicine and what he hopes to bring to the future. And that kind of, I guess, ethical and outward facing look on life is one of the things we really value about our students, or try to nurture in our students for whom it's not necessarily inborn for all of us, but how do we begin to look that way? So we are just about out of time. These sessions are very fast. I want to thank you guys for coming to the University of Mary Washington's whole program today and for checking in with us here at the honors program session. Please use the contact at the end if you have any further questions, the honors program at umw.edu. If you want to connect with Rebecca or another honors scholars with questions you would rather ask of a student, I'm happy to make that connection for you also. If you just contact us through that email, I can help make that connection for you. Enjoy the rest of your program today, you guys, and good luck. There might be one question. Oh, it's just a thank you. Thank you, Addison. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Abina. Thanks, Rebecca, very, very much.
Of course, happy to help.
Appreciate it.
Yep, and I think I'm available for the other dates that Dr. Slunt had tentatively, so.
She hadn't copied me on her communications with you guys, so I wasn't, she just contacted me this weekend and said she'd forgotten to set up students, which is why I sent the thing to you guys, like, can I? So I'm really glad that you guys were able to help today. So I wasn't even sure if she distributed dates to you guys, but that's
She
great.
had, I think 2, and then 1 was still TBD or something like that.
Okay.
But
I know there's at least one more event like this that she is doing. It's a time that I'm teaching, so we were, you know, tag teaming on them. And there's also, I think, an evening event for admitted students that's going to include both students and a parent panel that parents can go into in a breakout room. But I'm not up to date on all of the dates. I'm in that mode of like, in the next 2 days, what's on my calendar?
Exactly, that's me. My to-do list is
exactly
day to day, and that's what we gotta focus on, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, well, good luck with your days, and I'll talk to you soon, I hope. See you at meditation next week, if not before.
Hopefully. See you.
Okay, bye-bye.